I'm not the kind of guy who looks for trouble. I clock in, do my work, keep my head down, and go home. For the last 4 years, that's exactly how it's been. My title said Operations Analyst, but that's a fancy way of saying the guy who makes the numbers look right so nobody asks questions. The building smells like burnt coffee and printer toner. Every morning at 7:58, the same dozen faces shuffle through the security gate, eyes half open, badge out, souls half asleep. Our boss, Mark, isn't there at that hour. He never is. He drifts in around 10 with a Red Bull and a smile that looks more like a signature than an expression. Mark doesn't yell. He manages by whispering. He'll lean close, lower his voice, and make you feel like you've been trusted with something confidential until you realize you've just been volunteered to fix his mess. Just backdate the inspection logs, he once said, tapping my desk. We missed last week's safety check, but no one reads those anyway. When I hesitated, he smiled wider. I'll make it worth your while. He didn't. Over the past year, small things started stacking up. Hours that never showed on payroll. Expense reports that got lost. Colleagues leaving quietly, one after another, replaced by cheaper contractors who'd sign anything put in front of them. Mark called it lean operations. We called it survival. The final straw started like any other Friday. 6:17 p.m. I was halfway out the door when my phone buzzed. Mark's name. The message was short, almost casual. Back Monday, I'll explain later. That was it. No context, no punctuation. Just that line. Normally, I wouldn't have thought twice. But that week, an internal audit notice had circulated. Random checks on overtime claims and vendor payments. The timing was too clean, too deliberate. Something in me shifted. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe quiet anger that had been fermenting for months. I sat back down, opened my laptop, and reread our last few message threads. There it was, his off-book instructions, the falsified safety logs, the forwarded invoices marked personal copy only. All of it, time-stamped, saved, and waiting. I typed a single reply. Got it, Mark. I'll make sure HR, legal, and compliance are looped in on Monday so we can all go through your explanation together. Hit send. Screen locked. Bag zipped. I was halfway down the stairwell when my phone lit up again. One call, then another, then another. By the time I reached the lobby, there were 5 missed calls and a voicemail notification blinking like a warning light. Outside, the sky was the color of old concrete. The parking lot buzzed with the low hum of the sodium lamps kicking in. My phone vibrated again in my pocket. Another call, another after that. I didn't answer. I let them stack up until the vibration felt like a heartbeat. At 7:02, a text popped up between the missed calls. Don't do anything stupid, I'll call you. Answer. I didn't. By 8:15, he'd switched tactics. Short, frantic messages. We need to talk. You don't understand. Delete that message. Don't forward anything. This can blow up. That's when I realized he wasn't worried about a misunderstanding. He was scared. And the only reason a man like Mark ever gets scared is if he knows there's proof. I poured a drink, opened my laptop again, and started scrolling through the evidence I'd collected without even meaning to. Slack screenshots, PDFs he'd sent to my personal email, a shared drive folder labeled Temp Backup. Each file felt like a pulse under my cursor. Another call, another voicemail, then 2 more. I muted the phone. It didn't stop. By midnight, the screen glowed with 37 missed calls. The voicemails alternated between calm persuasion and desperation. Hey, buddy, let's be adults here. Call me back right now. Listen, you're making a huge mistake. Please, I can fix this if we talk tonight. I didn't delete them. I archived every one. Around 1 a.m., I opened a blank note and started writing. Times, dates, quotes, file names. Not a confession, not yet. Just the truth, while it was still sharp in my mind. The hum of the refrigerator was the only sound in my apartment. The phone, face down on the table, still lit up every few minutes like a small, nervous animal. By 2 Kao, the calls slowed. I sat there in the dark, staring at that last message. Back Monday, I'll explain later. Explain what? Exactly. Outside, rain started tapping the windows. The city went quiet in that heavy way only 2 a.m. can be quiet. My phone finally stopped vibrating. I thought it was over. Then it buzzed one more time. Unknown. Number. He told me to call. Please pick up. It's urgent. I stared at the screen until it went black again. And that's when I knew. Whatever Mark needed to explain, it wasn't just to me anymore. The first thing I did Saturday morning was check if the calls had stopped. They hadn't. 43 missed calls, 17 voicemails, 2 new numbers I didn't recognize. I muted the phone again and made coffee, but my hands were shaking so much I sloshed half of it onto the counter. The messages came in waves. First Mark, then private, then one labeled company. When I finally listened to the first voicemail, it started calm, almost rehearsed. Hey man, I think you took that message the wrong way. Just delete it, okay? It's nothing serious, just timing stuff. I'll explain Monday. Then a pause, breathing, a faint click. Please don't forward that message. That one I saved to a cloud folder. Labeled it, You saw one Saturday, 7:12 a.m. I spent the next hour organizing. It was strange how easy it felt, like muscle memory. I opened old folders, found email trails where Mark had corrected reports after submission. Each time, the metadata told a different story. His edits logged under my name, hours after I'd gone home, hidden in plain sight. I dragged each file into a new folder called Mark Audit, then mirrored it to a thumb drive. My apartment filled with the soft rhythm of clicks and fan hum. It felt almost peaceful. By noon, he'd escalated. His text lost punctuation. Call me now, we can fix this. You don't understand what's at stake. Do not contact HR. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened our internal Slack logs and searched his username. There it was. Months of instructions sent through direct messages. Adjust the safety log to reflect completion. Push the vendor invoice to next quarter. Let's keep this off email. Each message time-stamped. Each attached to me. It hit me then. If I disappeared, every trace would say it was my doing. That's why he was panicking. He needed me to fold before the system woke up on Monday. At 3 p.m., I got a text from Jenna, our HR generalist. Hey, Mark asked me to call you about a report issue. All good? I stared at it for a full minute before typing back. Everything's fine. See you Monday. 10 seconds later, Mark called again, then again. It was like he could feel the threads tightening. I stepped outside. The city air was humid, heavy, like the whole place was holding its breath. Across the street, a busker was playing a sad, half-tuned guitar. It didn't help. Back inside, I pulled up the shared compliance portal, the one nobody uses unless things are serious. I filled out the incident form, line by line, attaching the text, the screenshots, the voicemail transcript. I didn't accuse him of anything. I just wrote. Potential discrepancy in documentation and communication regarding safety and vendor compliance. Relevant evidence attached. Requesting review. Then I hit submit. The confirmation number blinked on screen. 47298B. That was the moment my pulse finally steadied. At 7:43 p.m., another voicemail came in. His voice sounded frayed, stripped of its usual polish. Okay, look, I don't know what you think you have, but this isn't how you want it to go. You're not like them. You're a good guy. Just delete the emails. Monday we'll say it was confusion. He sighed. Don't do this. I saved that one too. to Saturday, 7:43 p.m. By midnight, the phone went silent again. The quiet was worse. Every shadow in the room felt like it was waiting for something. I opened my laptop and started a document labeled Timeline. I listed every date, every instruction, every file he'd ever sent me that smelled wrong. The more I typed, the clearer the pattern became. Vendor kickbacks hidden as consulting fees. Overtime misreported to hide safety breaches. fake signatures on clearance forms. My signature, mostly. I'd always thought corruption looked cinematic. Cigars, briefcases, coded phrases. But this? It was Excel sheets. Small lies. Gray cells that turned red when you looked too close. At 2:15 a.m., I backed everything up again. One copy to cloud storage, one to an encrypted folder. Sent both to a personal email with a time delay release, just in case. Sunday came like a hangover. I woke to sunlight on the blinds and a notification. Calendar invite, Monday 9 a.m., audit, HR plus, legal, conference room 4A. Sender, me. I'd scheduled it before I went to bed. Attached every relevant name. Within 5 minutes, Mark called again. I let it ring until voicemail. Then, for the first time, I listened live. Cancel that meeting right now. Do you hear me? You don't know who's involved. This is bigger than you. The line cracked. Someone whispered in the background. Don't send that invite. Please, I can't. Click. Silence. I looked at the phone, then at my reflection in the laptop screen. I didn't look brave, just tired. By evening, I had my plan. Monday morning, 8:30 sharp, I'd walk into that glass conference room with nothing but a flash drive and the truth. No theatrics, no speeches, just documentation. I sat on the edge of my bed, scrolling through the missed calls. 92 total. The last one came from a number tagged private. I pressed play. If you do this, you'll regret it. No name. Just that. I didn't delete it. I saved it with the rest. Idro 3, Sunday, 11:58 p.m. At midnight, I shut my phone off completely. For the first time all weekend, the room stopped vibrating. But even in the quiet, I swear I could still hear the echo of his voice through the dark. Back Monday. I'll explain later. Only now it was my turn to explain. Monday morning started like a courtroom. The hallway outside conference room 4A was too quiet. No chatter, no keyboard clatter, no sound except for the muted hum of the AC. My footsteps echoed off the tiles like they didn't belong here anymore. I'd shaved, ironed my shirt, printed a copy of the timeline, and tucked the flash drive into a small envelope labeled "For Internal Review Only." My badge clicked at the turnstile at 8:27 a.m. sharp. Mark was already there. He stood near the window, phone in hand, face pale and glossy with sweat. He looked smaller than I remembered, like someone had drained the color out of him. The moment our eyes met, his smile tried to resurrect itself and failed. "Morning," I said. He didn't answer, just stared at the envelope in my hand. At 8:45, the others started filing in. Jenna from HR, quiet but sharp. Robert from legal with his thin silver pen, and a compliance rep I didn't know. A tall woman with square glasses who looked like she'd rather be dissecting the world than talking to it. We sat. The table gleamed under the fluorescent lights. The projector hummed. Robert started. "Let's keep this brief. There's been some confusion regarding record discrepancies and communication protocols." His tone was surgical, emotionless. "Mr. Hale," he meant me, "has provided some documentation for context." I slid the flash drive across the table. Everything's on there. Metadata intact. Messages included. Mark exhaled, trying to laugh. "This is ridiculous. We're really wasting time on screenshots now?" Jenna didn't look up. "It's not ridiculous if the audit team flags missing inspection logs, Mark." He leaned back. "Oh, come on. Everyone backdates. It's called efficiency." The compliance rep's pen paused mid-note. "Did you just admit to that?" Mark froze. "No, Look, you're taking that out of context." Robert plugged in the flash drive. The screen filled with email chains, Slack messages, file timestamps. One by one, I'd named and organized them. Arbo1 safety log, hot Jan. U2 vendor, adjust, hatch, Q1. Zo3 email, Feb 14th MH. Each item had a note. Each note pointed back to him. The air in the room changed, heavy, brittle. Robert clicked on one message from 3 weeks ago. It was from Mark's account to mine. The text read, "Fix the vendor cost issue. Keep it off record. Just adjust the report and move on." Mark laughed again, too loudly this time. You see? That's not illegal. It's just internal correction. The compliance rep looked up. Except the vendor report you corrected went to finance, and finance already forwarded it to the external auditor. Mark blinked. What? She kept her voice flat. Which means the falsified version is now evidence of intentional misrepresentation, not a correction. Silence. Robert clicked another file, audio this time, my saved voicemail. Mark's voice echoed across the room, calm but trembling. Please don't forward that message. Delete it. We'll fix it Monday. When it ended, no one spoke for several seconds. Jenna's voice broke the silence. That's your voice, Mark, he swallowed. It's edited. Metadata says recorded Saturday morning, 7:12 a.m., Robert said. Source verified by IT. The compliance rep looked at him over the rim of her glasses. You tried to interfere with an internal report. Mark turned to me, voice low, desperate now. Why'd you do this? You think this saves you? You were part of it too. I didn't flinch. You gave the orders. I did the work. That's the difference. He slammed his hand on the table. Don't play innocent. Robert raised a hand calmly. That's enough. Mark, please surrender your badge. You're being placed on administrative leave pending full review. The words hung there like a verdict. Mark stared at him, then at me. His lips moved, but no sound came out. Then slowly, he reached for his lanyard, unhooked it, and set it down. The plastic ID clattered softly against the wood. Security appeared at the door a minute later. Not aggressive, just procedural. That somehow made it worse. As they escorted him out, he turned once more. His eyes weren't angry anymore. They were hollow. You think this ends here? I didn't answer. The door closed. The room stayed quiet, except for the faint whir of the projector cooling down. Robert shut his laptop. We'll take it from here. You'll get a follow-up from compliance. Don't discuss this with anyone for now. Jenna gave me a small nod, the kind that says you did the right thing, even if it hurts. By the time I stepped outside, it was 10:14 a.m. The sky had that washed-out blue that only appears after a storm. My phone buzzed once. An email from IT. Subject: Data confirmation. Your submissions were verified and archived. Thank you for your cooperation. That's when I finally exhaled. In the lobby, people whispered as I passed. I didn't listen. I just kept walking until I hit the parking lot. The air smelled faintly of wet asphalt and victory mixed with fear. At a red light, I caught my reflection in the rearview mirror. The same tired face, same quiet guy who just wanted to work in peace. Except now my phone was silent. No missed calls, no voicemails, just stillness. That's when I noticed the email draft sitting unsent in my inbox, time-stamped 7 a.m., a scheduled message I'd forgotten about. It was addressed to HR, Legal, and Compliance. The subject line read, Monday meeting, full transparency. Attached was everything. They hadn't needed it, but it was there, just in case. As I pulled out of the lot, a new voicemail alert blinked. 1 missed call. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I pressed play. You don't get it. They'll turn on you too. It's not over. I deleted it without saving. For the first time in months, the silence that followed didn't scare me. It felt like peace. They called it an internal restructuring. That's what companies always say when someone powerful disappears overnight. No drama, no headlines. Just a quiet memo, 3 bullet points, and a new signature at the bottom of an email. By Tuesday, Mark's name had vanished from every system. Slack, email, even the parking roster. HR sent out a statement about organizational integrity and transparency initiatives. Nobody said his name, but everyone knew. People started stopping by my desk that morning, not to gossip, but to look. Half curiosity, half relief. I nodded, smiled when I had to, and kept typing. That was safer. At 11:07, Jenna pinged me. You're clear. Investigation complete. HR, Legal, and Compliance all confirmed your cooperation. No disciplinary action. You did the right thing. I just stared at the message for a long time. You did the right thing. Simple words, heavy as stone. Then the compliance report came in. 30 pages, sterile language, bulletproof formatting. It listed falsification of safety documentation, financial misreporting, and coercive conduct. The conclusion was short. Termination for cause. No severance. Bonus clawback approved. They even found more. Hidden sub-accounts, vendor kickbacks that predated me by years, ghost contractors who got paid for consulting but didn't exist. It wasn't one man's mess. It was a system built on his confidence, but systems fall fast once the bluff breaks. By Thursday, IT had wiped his laptop, finance reissued the audit, and legal forwarded a single note to the executive board. Case closed. I thought that would be the end of it. Then came Friday. A voicemail, unknown number. "Hey, it's Mark. Don't hang up. Please." Silence. Then breathing. "I lost everything. You know that? The house, the car, even my references. HR won't confirm anything. They say it's policy. You think they'll protect you? They won't. You'll see." Another pause. "You could have called me back. I would have fixed it." Click. I didn't save it this time. I didn't need to. His voice was already burned in. That night, I sat in my apartment. Same desk. Same dim light. Same cup of cold coffee I'd ignored half the week. But the air was different now. Not heavy, not sharp. Just quiet. I opened my email again. At the top was a new message from HR. Subject: Role transfer confirmation. As discussed, your request for transfer has been approved. New position effective immediately. Salary adjustment attached. We appreciate your professionalism during recent proceedings. It didn't say thank you. It didn't need to. The next Monday, I walked into a different floor. New badge, new desk, new manager who shook my hand like I actually mattered. The office was brighter here, less tense. Real smiles instead of survival reflexes. At lunch, someone joked about the ghost of 4A, and the room laughed. I didn't. I just stirred my coffee and listened. I didn't correct them when they guessed what happened. I didn't say that I still heard his voice sometimes, low and trembling, begging through static. After work, I packed up my old things from the locker downstairs. A few pens, a notebook, and the thumb drive still labeled for internal review only. I could have erased it, but I didn't. Some evidence deserves to exist quietly. Outside, the evening air felt warm, the first real hint of summer. I walked past the parking lot where Mark used to park his SUV crooked across two spots, always near the entrance. That space was empty now. The sun hit the windows just right, the whole building glowing gold for a second before the light broke apart. I stopped, looking at the reflection of the place where I'd nearly lost myself. 4 months ago, I was the guy who never spoke up, who said sure, boss, and fixed problems that weren't mine, who thought silence was safety. Now silence was freedom. I took out my phone, scrolled to the voicemail folder, and pressed delete all. One last vibration, a faint buzz like the ghost of all those missed calls. Then nothing. Total stillness. Some people get revenge through fire or shouting or revenge plots worthy of TV scripts. I didn't need that. All it took was one sentence, one reply that turned his weekend into a storm he couldn't survive. Got it, Mark. I'll make sure HR, legal, and compliance are looped in on Monday so we can all go through your explanation together. That's all it ever took, just giving the truth a place to stand. When I finally walked away from the building, the air smelled like rain that hadn't started yet. My new badge clinked softly against my keys. The phone stayed dark. And for the first time in years, I didn't owe anyone an explanation.